Hello everyone and welcome to February's first tutorial of the Crafternoon Box by Papercrafting Australia. My name is Tangi. For anyone who hasn't met me before, welcome along, and I hope that you enjoy the next hour playing along with us doing some crafting from the Crafternoon Box. I'm just going to check in and make sure that all of our streams are working properly. It looks like they're all connected, so that's really good for a Saturday afternoon. We'll see how we go. If you're in Facebook or you're in YouTube, whatever your streaming method is, jump in and say hi. Hi, Carrie. Carrie's on Facebook. Tony's in on YouTube. I hope everyone is having a great day. So far today, I've had a tiny bit of excitement but a tiny bit of disappointment as well. We were told there was going to be some more work done on our block, on our house build this week, but because of some rain yesterday, we got out there today and all we have is some guttering that has very kindly been delivered and placed on our front lawn, on our nature strip, which is where we were going to mow the lawn today, but of course with a heap of guttering on there we can't. So that's just sitting out in the rain now, waiting for them to start doing this week. So I got a bit excited because we thought there was going to be some work done, but then a little bit of disappointment because they haven't actually put it up. So hopefully it gets there next week. I'll keep you posted with my fun house build that's not going so quickly. It's the bane of my existence. I can't wait to get into it because I'll have a brand new craft studio when we move into that new house. So I'm looking forward to being able to put shelving up. We're in a rental at the moment, so the my craft studio to make things is a little bit limited. There's some storage in another room, which I won't show you because it is disaster zone. But yeah, let's get on with having a play with some paper crafting today. I'll just switch to my overhead camera for you all. So sing out if you've got any questions, or you get stuck, or you've got some good helpful tips. Just pop a comment in Facebook or YouTube, wherever you are, and we'll go along. So there's quite a few bits and pieces in the February kit. Now this isn't everything that's in the February kit, but this is what we're going to choose from and use today. And we're going to focus on a technique that's called ink smooshing. And it's a heap of fun. Yes, you are going to get dirty. If anyone comes out of this with clean fingers, I'm going to call you a liar because I don't think it's possible. But this is the background technique that I'm talking about. Now, I went a little bit overboard when I made this example one, so I'm going to try and ease off a little bit today, but we'll see how we go. So ink smooshing is the technique we're going to do today. We are going to make it on this beautiful passionate pink Gina K Designs cardstock, and I wanted to do it on this one for you this month because I just want you to feel how amazing Gina's cardstock really is. Next month in the March kit, I'm actually going to throw in a little bit of layering white from Gina K because it is so incredible to blend your inks on. So this card today we're going to use so we've got the Gina K Passionate Pink and the Bubblegum Pink envelopes, also by Gina K. So we're going to use those. Or you can choose a different envelope. It's just that these ones fit perfectly in there because they're made for it. I've also got, so we've got this little bit here. You'll see it's quite textured. This is your watercolor paper, so it's smooth on one side and quite wrinkly, and I don't know if the camera's not really picking those tiny little lines up there. There it might go. So that is your watercolor cardstock that we're going to cut down in just a moment and start smooshing onto. You've also got some black cardstock, which we're going to use for this little border mat around the outside. You can take it or leave it with that. It's up to you how you like your cards to be presented. For the next few cards that I make, I'm going to do this kind of, presentation with a black border behind, and then we're going to switch it out and maybe do some coloured borders on white cardstock. So then we've got in this selection, so we've got 6 different colours of the Kaisercraft Weave cardstock, and I've brought these little bits along and put them in an order for you so that hopefully we can tell which one is which. So if you were to put them in this kind of colour order, so I've gone the lightest pink and then the darker pink. So the lighter pink is lipstick, and this brighter one is magenta. Hopefully you can pick up those words on the cameras depending on what you're watching your stream on today. This orangey kind of one is coral, and then the blush kind of one, pink, is hibiscus. Then you've got the two reds. So the lighter red is crimson and the darker red is ruby. So just in case you were kind of trying to figure out which colours you're going to use today, I'm probably going to stick with lipstick magenta and hibiscus, purely because of the colour palette that I'm going with, and magenta kind of seems to be the closest one to the passionate pink ink cube and ink pads that we're using this month. So then I'm going to use lipstick and magenta as a bit of a kind of contrast to go with that. So that makes a kind of nice little palette, but you can choose whatever colours of cardstock you would like to use today. I'm also going to be using this little I love you greeting block that has come out. So that is our exclusive one from Papercrafting Australia. So I'll be putting extras of those up in the shop if you were wanting to buy, you know, just some little, you know, 5 or 6 pack to use in your crafting projects. I've got some of our, this is also our Papercrafting Australia's own little shaker mix. So this is going to be used, the majority of it will go into a shaker card that we're going to do next week. But for this week, I'm going to steal some of these little polymer clay hearts out of here to use. I've got the Kaisercraft rhinestones. So these ones are in hot pink. Just want to make sure that I had the name right. We've got some of this cute little silver and white twine. So you should have 2 20cm sections in your kit. And if you want to make the card fairly similar to the one that I've done today, I'm going to show you how to wrap this around and secure nice little strings to your cards in future. You don't have to put 2 on one card. That's just what I did for the first one, and I actually used a bit of extra to make the bow. So we can't technically make that whole thing just with the kit that we've got this month. And I've also got, excuse mine because they've been cut apart. So this is the Paper Rose small hearts metal dies. So you should have 3 small hearts, so a larger one, a medium one, and a tiny one. And we're going to use our die cut machine to cut some of those out to put onto our cards. So that's what we're going to do today. You're also going to need an acrylic block. It doesn't really matter which size. You can use a big chunk of one, or you can use a small mini type of one, and a spritz bottle. So this, like, it can just be whatever kind of spray bottle you have. Most people have got something in a craft room that will spray something. Alternatively, if you've got a paintbrush, you can actually use a paintbrush to kind of wash on to either your cardstock or your blocks. So we'll get going. I'm just going to move a few things on my table so that I can kind of worry about that later. But let's take these cardstocks off that I'm not using today. They will come out in a later project. Don't panic. We're not going to waste anything. Lots of little bits today. And has everybody changed over their little, oh, hello light, their little frame? I've popped, this is the February one, so I just want to make nice things and get enough sleep. I think we've all had that moment where you stay up way too late trying to perfect a craft project. And it may or may not go the way you want it to. Happens to me all the time. And then I realise what time of night it is and I think, oh my God, now I have to go to bed. So first I'm just going to grab my, if I can get it from underneath my table, just my little scoreboard, just so that I can pop this, get this card prepped ready to go. So with your card bases, so you should have 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. So we're just going to score this one at 4.25 inch so that we can fold this one in half. And I'm just double checking all my measurements because I didn't write these down beforehand. So I'm making it up as we go and just hoping that I can do maths in my head and divide 8.5 and get 4.25, which I think I have done quite well. Great. And because we're making 2 cards, I'm just going to get this done as well because it's easier than trying to bring everything back up on the table later on. But I feel really weird today because I only just saw a lot of you on Thursday night, so just 2 days ago. So it feels really, really soon. Don't forget, if you're scoring, this is the valley that you've made with your score tool. Flip over, and where the mountainside, the lump is that you've scored, that's the part that goes inside. So just in case. But I don't know if you guys are feeling this as you're scoring and then folding. I'm not having to go along and really burnish that very hard. This just, once you've scored this cardstock, it just goes, that's where I'm going. I've been told to fold, that's what I'm doing. So I love it. Yeah, so has anyone done anything exciting since Thursday? I don't know that we've had any time to do anything too crazy exciting, but, you know, let me know. Carrie's already inky from this morning. Carrie did an opening of the box this morning on her channel, and I haven't seen it yet, Carrie, but I'm sure it was heaps of fun. And I can't wait to see what you made. I was out at the block getting disappointed, so I didn't get to see it. So these kind of seem to work pretty well with the last tutorial that I did, with being able to put the sizings on screen somewhere for you. So to cut the border mat, you can't see that because it's off screen, that I've got here, so just the black border, grab your black sheet of cardstock. You should probably get 3 out of this one. I'm just going to double check. Yeah. So what we're going to do is trim off 3 3/4 this way. That is my half. And then 5 1/4 in length. Or for those of you who are playing in millimeters, I've popped those dimensions on there for you as well. And something that I've done this week has gone a bit cuckoo. I'll work with that. But let me double check. Why are my measurements not correct? I did write these down after I just had lunch and it was a little bit hairy. Beg your pardon, that should be 4 inches. Stop cutting. Everybody stop cutting. Where's my black texter? Disregard that bit. It's just 4 inches. I think I was measuring like a wally today. I think I'll still get 2 more out of this. Excellent. There's 4 there. 4 by 5 1/4. Let's go this way. That'll work a bit better. Cut 1, then check it. That's better. 4 by 5 1/4. Yes, millimeters are there if anyone is doing those. So that's fine. So at this point, normally you could just stick that piece down, but because we're going to wrap some twine around, I'm going to show you how to do that, and you need to adhere that to the back of this one before you stick them down. So don't do that just yet, lovelies. All right, let's get that out of there. And now we'll cut down the ink smooshing water card. Now I'm just going to measure these. So this is for the background layer. So I am just going to double check these, considering I've already muffed it once today. So 5 inches or 127 millimeters by, oh, this is the 3 3/4. Well, how did I do that? Don't know what I'm up to today. My mum's probably writing comments that say, measure twice, cut once, Tangy. Thought I taught you well. But never mind. Ollie, you've restarted your aquarium. That's amazing. I think I would, I think I'd kill fish if I did it. Not intentionally, but I would just accidentally not feed them or something. I did kill fish when I was a teenager, and I didn't know it at the time, but I figured it out afterwards. They used to sit right next to where my mirror for doing my hair and getting ready in the morning was, and I think what happened was I sprayed hairspray near them and the tank didn't have a cover on it. So I think I poisoned them by hairspray, which is not a good way to go, I'm sure. So rest in peace, little fishies. Ollie, I'm sure you take much better care of your fish, so it's just me. I'm good with four-legged pets. There we go. Okay, so I've just cut both of those. Now you can use them at a bigger size and then trim them down, and lots of people do like to do that because you can find a section of the background that you've made that you like more than the rest, and you can trim off the rest. I just like to know the space that I'm working with, and I can compose within that space. So it's up to you either way. You can, you could have just cut that piece of watercolor paper into 2 even sections or close enough. As long as it's bigger than your piece that you're going to finish up with, then I'd say go ahead and make what you want and then trim it down to size. But either way is fine. It's totally up to you. Alrighty, so we're going to try 2 different ways of doing this. Now one is the direct method. So this is me directly putting, I'm going to take my ink pad, I'm just going to smoosh it, hence the term ink smooshing. You can do a little, you can do a lot, whatever floats your boat. And I'm just going to prep some baby wipes because, as I said, this is a messy one. And last time I did this, and I did this with my niece, my 10-year-old niece now, and she and I made a pretty big mess actually doing that. But I went really hard with smooshing on my block, and I kind of got a little bit much. So I'm going to try and back it off a little bit because I want to try and see if I can get a little bit lighter effect. So I'm just going to give it one little tap. Then I'm just going to grab my little spritz bottle, spritz a bit of water, again, a little or a lot, whatever you would like. And you'll get to kind of play around with this. I'm going to put this in the middle, and this is just flip it over, smoosh. So you can see how that's just kind of come off. I've still got some on my block, so I can decide to, put it in different places. While you've got your block contacting with your paper, you can give it a bit of a smoosh around. But this is all about just playing with the water and the ink color and seeing what kind of effect you can come up with. Now, there's no wrong or right. And you can keep layering it up. So it's better to start light and then get heavier, but it depends on the effect that you're looking for. Now I'm going to go all out of order. So just a little bit of ink on your block, spritz with water, a little or a lot. And see how it kind of sits. In some ways it sits like watercolor. I mean, it essentially is watercolor. It's just using ink rather than watercolor paints. You are going to get it all over your work surface like I already have. That's totally fine. I kind of want to get this like feathery type of or water look at the edge. I want to see less of these lines that are in the paper, and I also don't want to have, whoops, ink pad upside down. Oh, there we go. We've stuffed that. That's okay. I don't want the ink to go all the way to the side. So I'm just going to kind of push this a little bit further across and try and eliminate those, whoops, now it's run off. Just eliminate the hard lines that have gone over there. And that's just a matter of putting a little bit more of a pool of water on there. Brushing it, sliding it across, whatever you like. So that I'm not finished with at the moment, but I do need to let it dry a little bit more before I can go back in and put some more in. So I'm going to leave that one. Made a god-awful mess of this today. Oh, this is what happens. You get inky. Okay. Now, the other way that you can do this is by spritzing your watercolor paper so that it's fairly damp already. Just going to let that soak up a little bit. and then you can go at it without putting water onto here, and you can just smoosh it straight on. So it will start to run a little bit differently than if you go direct to your cardstock with the water on your block. And this one will take a long time to dry, or longer, depending on how much water you've put on your block. How's everybody going? Are we messy yet? I've already proven that it's messy. And there's no way of telling when is enough. When do you stop? If you get too much water pooling, you can kind of dab a little bit at it with a tissue or a baby wipe, something that's just going to soak up a little bit of that. But while you guys are playing there, I'm just going to, where did I put it? I did have my heat tool that I was going to use to dry this a bit quicker. But let me just check in on the YouTube and the Facebook. What's happening there? Yeah, Carrie's using a heat gun. That's exactly where I'm about to head as soon as I can find it. I've put it somewhere safe. Here it is. Rattle, rattle. Ugh. So if anyone's got a tool like this at home, looks a bit, this is a Stampin' Up! One that I got from ever ago. But yeah, I'm just going to make a little bit of a noise. I do apologise in advance. I'll just shut up for a second while this comes through. Alright, so that they're fairly dry. They're not super dry, but they're dry enough for what I'm going to need to do with them for the next little bit. How's everybody else gone? Has everybody got something to dry their things with, or is it warm and dry enough where you are? Carrie, I do not doubt for one single second that you have a splatter brush. That just makes all the sense in the world to me. So even once you've kind of gotten it, this one's not completely dry, but I've done that for a reason, because I'm actually going to pop a little bit more ink on top. I'm just gonna, it's gonna run off here. So again, I can just pop my block on there to try and just get these splotches to spread out a little bit and give me a little bit more interest, I suppose. Just want a teeny bit more. Over this side somewhere. There we go. Excellent. And I've managed to get just a few little droplets that I can kind of splash around, so it gives you that kind of serial killer watercolor splatter kind of vibe. Bit of Dexter. I never watched that show. I did get into it, but I heard it was good. All right, so this one I'm just going to dry. This one I'm going to leave as is, fairly light, but it's totally up to you as to at what point do you consider yours done. So this one's dry enough for me to stick down. I just need to give this one a little hit with the heat gun. Now you might see while I'm drying this, I'm kind of turning it over and turning it back again. You'll see that the fibres in the card actually warp as you're drying it. So they'll contract and expand with the water and with the heat and the dry. So if it curls up one way, just flip it over, give it a bit more heat, and it should flatten out on the other side. Of course, if you overheat it that side, it's going to curl back in the opposite direction. So you kind of got to keep flipping, and you'll eventually get the groove right. See, that's now curling up on me. Flip it over, bit of heat, and it'll flatten back down. And then if I just take the heat off it, even if I didn't turn that off, as long as I took the heat away from that card, it's going to flatten out. It still is a little bit warped and kooky, but that will flatten down with a bit of tape, especially that new Easy Runner Ultra Permanent that I've got, which has been quite good. Now I saw Sharon jump in there. Hello, Mum. Love playing with ink and water. I get super inky all over. Yes, you do. I'm cleaner than she is. Generally. She'll tell you otherwise. Cool. Thanks for joining, Mum. I hope you're having a good afternoon. Whoops. Excellent. All right, well, I think I've cleaned up about as much as I can, and I've managed to stay pretty clean. My workspace, however, has taken a bit of a hit. Never mind. Clean it off, get a new one, whatever. Okay, so this is the point where I want to start working out what I'm going to do with some embellishments. So I'm going to use my dies, and I'm going to make some die cuts. There's a hole in the side that's really handy and convenient to get those off in my packet. I don't know how it got there, but it's there, so you know, I deal with it. So you can kind of use your dies as a bit of a layout. What do you want to do with it? I've got this, nice bit of, blush pink over here that would probably look great with a piece of, bit of sort of matching pink woven cardstock on that. This one I think I might put just a row of little ones across the middle, like a little bit of a belly band. I think I'll fit 5 there, but I'll see how I go. And I might make the one in the middle just a little bit bigger. So I think that's kind of how I'm planning to go. We'll see how this works out. I'm just going to move these off to the side and bring in my Big Shot. So sorry if it doesn't all fit in the in the vision there. But this is a die cut machine. There's lots of different ones. Mine's very dusty because I don't use it a lot, that you might have. So it is, for anyone who doesn't have one and doesn't really know how it works, it's basically just a big roller that pushes down on these bits that go in between. So I've got a base plate there and a cutting mat. I've also got a little thin die adapter that just kind of pushes the height up so I get a bit more pressure on there. And all you do there is put your cardstock in, find your dies, which I've very carefully, helpfully put underneath my Big Shot. Line them up on your cardstock. I'm going to try and put them in such a way that it kind of uses the least amount of card. Pop a mat on top, a cutting mat, and then you just pop them into the machine just so that it grabs. Start winding the handle once it's not feeding in at all. There we go. Hang on to it, push it through. Ooh, and that one might have cut off the edge, we'll see. And then once you take that off, the little ridges that are on the dies, they're actually, when it comes to paper, they're sharp enough to push a hole in it. So then I've got my little cutouts that have come through. And now I can use those to stick on for my project. So dies come in all different shapes and sizes. You can get ones that cut borders, you can get all sorts. Pretty much if you've thought about, I would like to be able to cut something in this shape, it probably exists. Although companies still keep bringing out millions and millions of them every year. So maybe we haven't kind of gotten to the end of how many we can actually come up with. So I'm just going to cut 2 groups for each colour, the 3 colours that I'm going to use, and I think that should be enough for me for this project. So if you haven't got a die cut machine, I can give you a little, I've got a little suggestion for you. So you can still get the same shape, but like ordinarily with these ones you can, I mean, you could trace around the outside and you might get pretty close, but you could use just one of the self-healing mats that's got a little bit of give, just a little bit of give to it. Put your cardstock down, pop your die on it, grab a rolling pin and just roll over the top of it. Even if it doesn't cut all the way through, which, look, unless you're pushing super hard, I don't think you will, you'll get the imprint, which you can then use to cut out. So you can fussy cut those if you don't happen to have a die cut machine right handy. So that would be my suggestion. The other thing is some of you may have gotten your dies and all 3 of them are connected by a tiny little metal sprue, just a little piece of metal. That's just because the manufacturers have found it easier to make it that way. I just get a little pair of wire cutters and just clip them apart, because sometimes I won't want to use all 3 of those dies in a project that I'm doing. I will only want to use one size and just cut it a million times. So I like to have mine separate. You don't have to, it's just a personal choice that I have. In how I prefer it. Whoops, a daisy. So I botched that one a little bit. So this one I rolled it through and it must have moved on the way back. So I've cut a little piece off the top of that love heart. So that's going to be a little bit kooky shaped. Never mind. I can always cut another one if I need a better one. The other thing that you can do if you find that your dies move a lot in this process is you can use a little piece of washi tape just to kind of stick them to the paper or the cardstock before you run them through. Oops. Line it up straight, perhaps, Tangy, that would be good. And they can move because my top plate there is a little bit loose and wobbly. It's a bit bent. It's probably time for some new ones, which I have in my drawer, but like every crafter, it's like, I'll just see how many more die cuts I can get out of this before I actually have to replace it. We try to be thrifty. We try. So, you know, you guys might have chosen different colours to go with your cards, and that's perfectly fine. It's crafter's choice. That's why I like to put in a bit of extra and a fair bit of variety for you, because not everybody likes the same colours. I'm not particularly a floral, girly coloured kind of person, so this colour palette for me is a little bit challenging. For others, they'll be in their element because they love pink, or red. So, you know, you'll find that you'll pick a palette you'll like, and, you know, you'll probably work with that fairly consistently. But then, you know, you'll see an idea and you'll be like, oh, I wonder if that'll work with this colour. And you'll give it a try. It's all about experimenting and seeing what you can do. All right. I think I'm done with those. So I'll pop this away out of the way because it takes up so much space. All right. The dies, I'll just pop those over there. I'll clean them up later. So now that I've got my dies done, I can sort of do this little layout that I was thinking about. Now that's my little gremlin heart that's got a little bit of it's got a little bit of a problem. And I'll see how this plays out. I mean, I could also put some upside down if I wanted to fit more in. I might put them up a little bit. Get up there. I might kind of put those there. And I'll put a little piece, maybe I'll put the string underneath them. And then I'll put one of our little sentiments, which up here. So I might put one of these just popped up underneath that a little bit. So that'll probably do for that card. This one, I was tempted to use this, but now that it's kind of, I've ended up with colour at one end, I'm a bit less, oh, and I've splattered ink on it everywhere. Never mind, it'll still be cute. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think if I was going to do this, I need to put a coloured piece of card behind it. So I might do that and see if that works. Let's have a look. Which colour are we going to go with? This one? Or this one? Maybe I'll grab this one. Sorry, I'm just making it up as I go along this afternoon a little bit. So we are probably going to need 2 3/4 inch. That should be enough. I'll just trim off where I had cut with those. They'd be really cool to use as a stencil. So don't chuck stuff like that out either. You can you know, play around with that. 2 and 2.5, 2 3/4. Here we go. Double check before I cut again and make a mess of things. 2 and 1 and a bit. Okay. Hopefully. Oh, that is awfully crooked. Or my eyes are really crooked, I don't know. If it's crooked, it's handmade, it's okay. Carrie, what was the thing about lines the other day? Artistically offline or something? Okay. Pink spots everywhere. Yes, Sharon did cut a lot of hearts yesterday for invites that she's making. Yeah, Carrie's got the Gemini Mini. The Gemini Mini is pretty cute. Yeah. You like the string over the top, Sharon? Or maybe I could do them all a bit wonky and make it look like they've been... I could always put a gem on top of it to kind of make it look like that's what's, you know, it's almost like a peg holding the hearts on. That'd be cute. All right, cool. So then I've got this one. So again, this is just a way of using that block. So I might even put that a little bit closer to the bottom. And just leave it as a bit of a fairly plain one. So now we can go about fixing everything together. But I think what I need to do first is start... Actually, I'm going to leave that one. That one's going to be the trickier one with the string. This one's really easy or simpler. Just to start layering tape. One of those and one of these. So we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. I'll just flatten out my card so that it's easier to manipulate on my table. Can't see my... Here we go. I'm doing everything off screen. Sorry, guys. So again, just a little bit of tape on the back. And this smooth black photographic cardstock. So it's acid free. It's all the good things for you know, card making and scrapbooking. It's not a Kaisercraft one, it's actually a Couture Creations cardstock. And we do have that available in our store. So if you like the black cardstock and the way that feels, it's also great for making card bases and things as well if you like black. But then you probably need something like one of these little glaze pens, which are very highly pigmented and allow you to write on black surfaces. So we've got a few different types of those in the store as well. So if you're looking for something to help you write on black cardstock or darker coloured cardstock, there you go too. So as I said before, with the watercolour cardstock, because it's got quite a few bumps and bends and curves in it because of the warping, I'm just going to put a good amount of, I'd probably normally just do one little kind of run just down the middle, but I've just put a bit of extra in there and run it the full length just to give it a bit of extra stick, and it will hopefully help to pull all the warping out of my card. Yep. And because it's warped, it is sometimes hard to get it to stay straight on the paper, but it's gone okay. All right, I'm just gonna pop that kind of semi-crooked edge to the bottom because I feel like it's a little embarrassing. Now, somebody said yesterday that they use the Bostik glue tapes, and I think there's about, I don't want to say how many meters. I think it's like 6 meters of tape. I found out yesterday the Easy Runners are 13 meters. So I can go twice as far with my crafting with that one. So I think we're going to stock these Easy Runners and put them in the store so that we have a good quality tape runner that we can offer, in addition to the Bostik ones that are like a backup for if I've run out and the order's on its way still, but I haven't got a tape runner. The Bostik one saves your life. I've got something at least. But yeah, I think the Easy Runner is really good. It's nice and smooth. Okay. Just a simple little card. Not so bad. Tuck that over there for a moment out of the vision. And then I'll get to work on this one, because this one I'm going to play with this layout a little bit more. I think I want my hearts to be, oops, yes, a little bit not so straight, not so perfect. And I think, as I said the other day when I was using this, it is actually really hard to get just a little bit on your cardstock, but it does kind of ball up and rub off your workspaces pretty quick and easy, so that's kind of a bonus, I guess. Okay. How's everybody else going with their layout? Are you kind of figuring it out, finding a way to make something work? We're all going to have completely different looking cards, which is terrific. It's nothing like going to a birthday party and you give someone a card that you thought you'd selected really cleverly from the shop. Ha ha ha, they'll really love this one. This really speaks to them. And you see your card get put up on the shelf with everybody else's, and there's 3 of the same cards that you thought you were being really clever by picking. Like, I guess in some ways it validates that, you know, you had the idea right, you'd gotten the person right, you'd managed to, you know, you'd really kind of nailed it. But I used to hate that when I'd come up with a card that somebody else had exactly the same one. Just not my idea of fun. So if you are putting a piece of this ribbon onto your card in any way, shape or form, what I would do is when you know where it's going to go, so how far up on your card, so somewhere like there for mine, hold it in place and flip it over so that you know approximately where the tails are. Then just pop. Now this depends on whether you're putting it around the white background or whether you want it to go around the black, as to whether you would do it now or whether you would stick this one onto this card and then do it around that one. I'm going to do it around the black one just to show you it's exactly the same method. It's just that this will be, you know, affixed to the black matte card. This tape runner does get me a little bit off line, and it's because it's actually thicker than it is wide. So the casing is much thicker. Oops. Roll it into place. A couple of times I've gone very, very close to the edge because I didn't think I was actually that wide. So that's, you know, that's something that I'll get used to. You know how you get that little muscle memory with a particular tool that you use all the time? We'll get used to that. Okay. So now that that is fixed there, I'm going to hold this in place where I'm going to eventually have those. Flip it over. Try not to move these little guys and just put a little, oops, a little bit of your tape runner, even two, because I've got quite a bit of tail on there. It hasn't gone where I need it to. Into there. Fold it over and stick it down. You might even want to run that back a little bit onto itself. And do the same with the other side. Make sure that your tail of your string doesn't go back out, and then it's nicely in place, but you haven't got, you know, bits and pieces hanging out. And you know that we're going to put tape on this anyway to affix it to the card base, so it's you know, not such a bad way to get it there. We just need to run some more tape around the outside of this. Everybody had lunch today. I just had tomato soup. It was pretty good. I don't mind a bit of the old tomato soup. Okie dokie. Oops, line that up. Somewhere there. Whoop. Like I said, it does come up, but this one is quite tough. Don't know why I can't talk when I'm peeling things like that up, but that's how it goes. Okay, that's a bit straighter. A bit happier with that now. So that will hold your string in place where that's going to go. So then I think I will just get I might use a white one today. I don't often use a white sentiment, so I'll have a go. It's like, which one am I going to go with? I'm just going to cut these ones off, only because I don't know if you've tried to cut these end ones after you've cut them into tiny little bits, but it gets a bit tricky. I'm going to go with an I love you. A little bit of Try and get it even on each end, give or take. I was going to pop that up, but I think I'll just leave it flat. But I will need to use a bit of liquid glue because my tape runner is too thick for that. Does anyone else ever have that problem where you go, oh yeah, I'll do this, and then you look at it and go, but I can't do it the way I thought I was going to do it because that's way too difficult. Kind of center that somewhere around that middle one. And then what would it be without a little bit of bling? I don't think we need the super massive ones. Ah! I did so well with bling on my last live. Don't know if you saw that. I think there was only one that got away with me just as I was saying, this is great. I've never had this happen. And then it just took off. Which is, you know, Murphy's Law. Don't say that it's, you know, it's all right, it's okay. Excellent, so I like that one. That's come out lovely. This one I think still looks a little bit plain, so I might do my little bling corners that I like to do. My little studs. Pop them in the corners, and then it's not too glitzy. I think it's a bit glitzy for my boyfriend. He wouldn't be too thrilled with getting a pink card like this. But, you know, we're in the month of February and it's all about love if you buy into the commercialness of it, which we don't particularly. So let me clear this off a little bit, cover up my mess. I'll leave a bit of bling laying around, a couple of bits here and there. So they're the final two cards that I've finished for today. To go also with, let's see if I can get that to pop up a little bit, with that one there. So that's our ink smooshing technique. Just going to jump in and see the little bits and pieces. Anyone that's put little messages in anywhere. Artistically arranged, Carrie says, is the correct term for things that are crooked. A bit of bling on the I love you. Yes, got there. Stick that sucker down. Excellent. All right. Well, let's come back to here. So I hope you had a great time today learning how to do some ink smooshing. As you can see, there's lots of different outcomes that you can get from different ways of doing the smooshing, and over time and lots of practice you'll get used to how your block controls things, how much water to put on, and it can change with the different watercolor papers that you might have access to or use. If you are after some more of that really amazing, it's a cotton watercolor paper or watercolor card that was in the kit. I'll be restocking that into the store tomorrow, so you'll be able to jump in and buy that if you would like some to come to you. The March Card of the Month kit and March Crafternoon Box, if you're not already a subscriber, the orders for the March one close this evening, so 11:59 p.m. tonight. They will close off and you won't be able to buy that as a kit after that time. You'll be able to buy individual components of it, but not the full kit. Also, the Gina K Designs order will be going in tomorrow, so anyone who has a need for some more of that beautiful cardstock that we've made these lovely ones out of today. It might not be the passionate pick, but I think there's about 50 different colours that you can choose from. Then the order for Gina K Designs to come over from America is going in tomorrow. So get your orders in today for anything that you might want for that. I did forget to mention earlier that obviously if you've got a pink inside of a card, you may want to pop a piece of white cardstock in there. You've got the dimensions from both the background and the border or matte layer that you can use to get a size to fit within there, but it's totally up to you if you want to, or if you want to use like a glaze pen to write inside, which is a nice touch, something different. And of course we're pairing those off with our bubblegum pink envelopes. The reason I did 2 different colours in the kit this month, one for the cardstock, one for the envelopes, partly was because I couldn't get the bubblegum pink, sorry, this is the bubblegum pink. I couldn't get the passionate pink in the envelopes. They were out of stock at the time. But it's also really good as we're going through and exploring this range of colours of cardstock, both the Gina K and the Kaiser Craft colours. It's nice for you to get a group of everything together. And if you're really savvy, you'll be saving a little swatch of anything that you can, just to, you know, kind of have a bit of a colour chart going on. So yeah, that's why we did bubblegum pink and passionate pink all together. But I hope you've had a really good time. It's been fun crafting with you. I'll put copies of these ones up on our Facebook page shortly. I just need to take a decent photo of them. And I hope that you will join in and share what you've created today. It is part of a big community that we are in, so it would be really lovely to see what you've done. And other than that, I will see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel, so 2 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. That'll be the 13th of February, so just in time for something special for Valentine's Day cards. And next week we're going to be doing the shaker card. So we will have all of these little glitzy pieces, which I did say I was going to use today, and then I changed my mind. Creativity on the fly. So yeah, we will definitely be using these next week, I guarantee it. So until then, I hope you all have a safe and happy rest of the weekend and a lovely week ahead. And I will see you all next week. If you need anything, feel free to email me at info@papercraftingaustralia.com. I'll see you then.